Okay. If everyone is happy, I think we have a question which I'm going to take first on to do with buildings, and this is Adrian. I think where's Adrian? Would you like to say what your question is and who you?
My name is Adrian Reid. I'm a member of SCAN. My question was something along the lines of countries such as Germany have invested quite substantially in fitting older houses and older properties with increased insulation and indeed solar panels to reduce the amount of carbon emissions they are responsible for. What is preventing the UK in making similar investments in their existing building stock?
Marion, would you like to have a shot at this one?
What's preventing the UK per se, I guess that is probably the lack of a shared vision, maybe at governmental level and then trickling down, because where I sit, working in businesses, there's no shortage of young, innovative businesses producing all types of new products to go into buildings. And as a chamber, we have twice a year very serious debates at Windsor Castle to look at these big issues: energy and the economy, the changing global order. Those types of big issues that businesses are looking at. And I have to say, one company that springs to mind because they sponsor these types of small businesses is Shell, simply because I know of some of their work, and they have a competition called Springboard, and that gives a financial boost to small companies who are producing products that address the low carbon economy. Now, there are many companies doing this sort of thing, but the number of small companies that can produce these products, many of them for the construction industry and the building industry, they are there. So it just must be that there is no will at a high level to do this, or maybe it's fear. We're all frightened of change.
Okay, thank you. Peter, would you like to?
Yeah, thank you. It's a very interesting question. I think there are a multitude of reasons why the UK is lagging behind. I think primarily one is the nature of home ownership in the UK, which is higher than in many parts of Germany. Also, we have a considerably large amount of relatively poor quality housing. Britain went through a period where houses were built with no cavity wall in the structure of the building, and retrofitting insulation to that sort of construction can actually be both expensive and it reduces the amount of usable space in the building. I think Germany really were ahead of the game when it came to the installation of solar panels. They had been using solar technology for many, many years. And the government has been very supportive both in investing in the industry itself and in subsidising the installation costs, as do many other countries in Europe. Britain is playing catch up on that, and I think we are probably 15 years too late. We are catching up in terms of insulation. British Gas doing subsidised insulation. But the take-up isn't as great as it should be. Councils don't have the funds to necessarily do whole-scale improvements to all their housing stock. Swindon is looking at having solar PV installed on roofs, but you have to think about things such as solar alignment. A lot of it boils down to, is there the political will? And I think in the past there has not been the political will to do things. If you own a house, it's your problem.
Okay, I think, Justin, can I give you a chance to perhaps pick up the point about what is preventing the UK from investing in green jobs?
Okay, I think first of all, I think Peter's probably right about the lack of political will, and that's not on any one particular party. I think in your introduction you rightly said that this became to the forefront of people's minds. Due to the serious economic circumstances, it's probably fallen off the top spot, but it hasn't gone away. And I know from in Westminster there is cross-party support to tackle climate change. And one of the constructive things that we're trying to do is the introduction of the Green Deal, because Peter made a very important point about the difference between the UK and many of our European partners, is that the nature of our housing stock is often privately owned. And individual households would look at things, and I was no different when I made a similar decision. You look at things like solar panels and you think, great, it will cost me some money up front and I'll save some money on my electricity bills. And then you work out, well, that's going to be 20 to 25 years payback time, and you think, well, I'm probably going to move house within 5 years, so I won't get a payback, and that's what is putting off huge swathes of people. So the principle of the Green Deal that we're bringing in is to allow households to have up to around about £6,500, though that may very well change and go upwards if things cost more money, because as Peter said, a lot of the changes that are needed to certain houses will be a lot more expensive than others. And actually the savings then that come in the build will then be used to pay off the cost of that. And then if you then choose to move, you then don't continue to pay that, and then the new household can then either take advantage of that or not. And I think it's changing that mindset, because so many people were receptive to tackling climate change, but it was always everybody else's problem to do that. And we can, as we see with things like petrol prices, put up taxes to try and provide the stick, but we also need to provide a carrot. And I think there is cross-party support to look to find carrots to get people to change the way they do things.
Thank you. Gary, you have a...
Yes, thank you. I think, if I'm honest, Adrian, the answer is I don't know why we haven't done more. Because it seems so obvious that one of our top priorities has to be about increasing the energy efficiency of our existing housing stock. One of the problems has been planning, and the difficulties to achieve planning permission to make some of the changes that people have wanted to make has put people off. Part of it, though, is about political will, and there have been so many opportunities over so many years to address the issue of home energy efficiency that simply haven't been taken. The measures that have been put in place have been really small compared to the need that we have. As Peter said, we've got a very poor housing stock, and we need to invest in retrofitting. The other point I would make, though, is that we need to also do much more about ensuring that modern houses meet the standards. And the issue there isn't so much about the technology, because we have the technology to make homes much more energy efficiency. It's partly a question of enforcement, that even when the plans are drawn up, things aren't actually implemented, and nobody checks to make sure that insulation is there. And you read examples of the bags of insulation still sitting wrapped up in people's lofts and so on, just not installed. We have to overcome that through a process of enforcement. But we also are missing the most enormous trick of utilising the labour force that's currently available, unfortunately, through the rising levels of unemployment, and we're not taking that as an opportunity to address the backlog we've got in tackling home energy efficiency. And I think there's a great opportunity there now to actually do two things at the same time: address unemployment and address the need to retrofit and make homes much more energy efficient. And in doing so, we will achieve not only environmental benefits, we'll achieve a whole host of social benefits as well, dealing with fuel poverty and dealing with early deaths, unnecessary deaths caused by poor insulation, poor heating in houses, damp conditions and so on. So there's a win-win-win there.
Okay, thank you, Gary.